Good day, greeting students. I'm very happy to meet you all again in grade 11 business studies. We are in chapter 2. We are discussing about the various forms of business organization. So far we have discussed about sole proprietorship, joint Hindu family business, partnership. Right? In partnership we have seen in detail about lots of things. For sole proprietorship and joint Hindu family business, we have discussed what are the rules and regulations, their features, merits and demerits. For partnership, what we have seen? We have seen about the act that governs it, which is that Indian Partnership Act 1932. Then we have discussed about their features, merits, demerits, and then what else? We have discussed about the types of partners and types of partnership also. We have seen what is partnership deed and what is the reason or what is the compulsion for registration. What are the consequences that we will be facing if we are not registering our partnership firm. All these details we have discussed. Okay. Now we are going to go into the fourth form of business organization, which is called as cooperative society. Okay. So we are in chapter 2, forms of business organization. I hope you have gone through other three and understood the topics. We are going to discuss about cooperative societies. Okay, this is the fourth form of business organization. What is it? It is called as cooperative society. Alright. Now what is this cooperative society all about? Because we have heard much about sole proprietorship, joint Hindu family, and then we have discussed about partnership. This sounds little different. Cooperative society sounds little different. And what is it? It is a voluntary association of persons. Nobody is compelling them. Important word to notice here is it is a voluntary association. Okay? What is the first point about cooperative society? It is a voluntary association of persons who join together with the motive to serve the other members, or their focus is towards the welfare of the members. 10 members are there, means what is their objective? Their objective is to look after the welfare of those 10 members. Okay, how is cooperative society defined based on the Indian Cooperatives Act 1912? That is the governing act, children. I hope you remember all the acts that we have discussed. For Hindu Succession Act, you have to remember Indian Partnership Act. Okay, those acts you have to remember very well. And this is the Indian Cooperatives Act 1912. That is the governing act, which is the act according to which cooperative society works. It is the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912. Okay, Cooperative Societies Act 1912. How is it defined? It is defined as a society which has its objectives for the promotion of economic interest. Okay, its objective, what is its main objective? It is to promote the economic interest of its members in accordance with the cooperative principle. So whatever is the principle laid down by the government and the act, they have to maintain it. And in addition, they have to achieve the economic objectives. You know what is economy? Related to money. Okay, so economic objectives of the members should be achieved. So what is cooperative society? It is a society which has its objectives for the promotion of economic activities or economic interest of its members in accordance with the cooperative principles, and it is governed by the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912. What is in cooperative society? It is a society, or it is not even an organization. It is a society which has its objectives. What are its main objectives? To promote the economic interest of its members. Okay? It is a voluntary association. What is one more important point? That it is a voluntary association. It is not like join Hindu family. Just when you are born in the family, you become a member. Not like that. It is a voluntary association. Voluntary means what? You have to give your interest to join in that particular society. Nobody forces you. It is your own will and wish. So voluntary association, and then welfare of the members. It focuses on what? Its motive is to take care of the welfare of its members. Okay. And how many members are needed to start a cooperative society? You need at least 10 persons, 10 adult members. It is just the minimum. Okay. At least 10 adult members. You need at least 10 adult members to start a cooperative society. We have various kinds of cooperative society which we will be discussing later in this class. And how do you get the investment? You need investment, right? Sole proprietorship, his or her own investment. And join into family, the capital or the investment is the ancestral property. Partnership, everybody invests something, contributes towards the capital. It's called capital contribution. Here, it's through shares. Okay? The capital is raised through shares. You see share markets, right? Same way here also, the company's main account will be divided into various shares, and each has to pay some money to buy those shares. When you buy those shares, that amount will come as a capital, and once you buy the share, you will become a member in the cooperative society. So there we call that owner as a sole proprietor. Then join into family, the terms are karta and co-personal. In partnership, the term is partners, whereas in cooperative society, the term is members. Okay? And the registration is compulsory. Okay? This society should be registered. Okay? Because it has a legal identity. Okay, we saw that partnership is optional. Join into family, registration. We didn't even talk about registration here. Sole proprietorship again need not be registered. It is our own wish. But here the registration is compulsory. 100% we have to register. And then what else? Because it gets a separate legal identity because of its registration, we will be discussing why we need this legal identity. Because it's a voluntary association and various individuals come together. And what did we see in partners? All are different people, different perspectives. Anything might change at any time. That is why we need to register for legal formalities and proceedings. Same way here also, all are adults, voluntary association. Anybody may change at any time. We need a legal identity to separate the members from the society. Society is a different one and members are a different one. Alright, so what are the important points that we have discussed about cooperative societies? It is a voluntary association. What is cooperative society defined as? It is defined as a society which has its objectives for the promotion of the economic interest of its members in accordance with the cooperative principles. Okay, according to the principles, whatever we can do for the members, that has to be done. That is the main aim or the objective of cooperative societies. It is a voluntary association and the motive is the welfare of the members of the society, and then it is governed by the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912. Okay, it is governed by the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912, and at least 10 adult members should come voluntarily. They should participate and then start a cooperative society, and capital is raised by issuing shares. Okay, people buy shares and that amount is raised as capital. So capital is raised how? Through issue of shares, and registration is compulsory here. Definitely it has to be registered under Cooperative Societies Act. Why? Because it needs a distinct legal identity. It needs a separate identity from its members. Joint Hindu family business means we know that Karta is the main person. He and the family and business is not different. When you take sole proprietorship, the proprietor as well as the business are one and the same. It is not, they both are not different. Partners, we saw that registration is required. It is beneficial. It is because why? They want to file some cases means it is required. Here we need it. Definitely registration is compulsory because the society should be known separately from its members. Sole proprietor madri business owner because it's different. Okay, both the organizations are different. Understood? This is basically about cooperative societies. Now what next we will discuss? We usually discuss the features of this. Based on the definition and the meaning of cooperative societies, can you make out the features? I always tell you to, guess what might be the features based on this. Yes. The first point itself is their voluntary association. So the first feature is voluntary membership. That is, nobody compels you to become a member of the particular organization. It is your own self-interest to join the cooperative society, to start the society, to expand the society, or to come out of the society. Only the person, the member, has a right to decide because it is a voluntary membership. Just he has to pay the initial amount for the share and then he or she can become a member. And same way, coming out of the society is also very easy. You just have to serve a notice that I am going to leave the society. Okay, that is the only one thing. And one more important thing about cooperative society is membership is open. In joint Hindu family business, it is not open. Only the family members can be the members of the business. But here, nothing is like that. And in partnership, the partners should decide whether to accept or not accept. But here, the membership is open to anybody. There is no point about discussing their religion, caste or creed or anything, gender. No bias is there. Anybody and everybody can become members of the cooperative society. So the membership is voluntary. They can join at any point of time. It is not that only in the beginning they have to join. In the middle of the organization, if the company thinks it needs, if the society thinks it needs more capital, they can issue more shares and invite more participants as members. So any point of time they can join the organization, or they might quit the society by just serving a notice. It's an open membership system. There is no problem about the gender, age or caste or religion. Nothing is going to be a problem. The second point is legal status, because we have seen that registration is compulsory. Once you have registered, you work as a separate company. When you work as a separate company, you get a separate identity in the society, as this is a cooperative society. You don't, or the society is not named because of a particular member. Okay, it works separately. So what does it mean? What is the benefit of that? It can file cases against a member or against any other societies or against anybody. Okay, and when you have this legal entity or legal identity, the entry and exit of the members are not going to be a problem. Okay, anybody can enter and anybody can exit. Point is there, right? In voluntary membership, that will not be a problem when you attain the legal status. Because when you don't register, in partnership we saw, when you don't register, you cannot complain or you cannot sue against one another, you cannot file a case we saw. So same way also was a problem. But here, since you have the legal status, since the society has been registered under the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912, it works separately. The entry and exit of any member will not be a problem. So in case if they want to file any legal offences or legal cases against anybody, the society can move forward and use their own name to do it. Clear? The next thing, what we didn't discuss till now, liability. And they have limited liability. This is one of the important features of cooperative society. Remaining in all three forms of business organization that we have discussed that it is unlimited liability for any type of partner, sole proprietor, karta, they all have unlimited liability. Here it is limited liability because the company has a separate legal identity and each one of them might have invested very little. So to their limit, the liability will be retired. Okay, if they have invested 2% of capital, then their liability is only 2%. They don't have to bear the others' liability. So that's why we say limited liability, and risk factor is also less because everyone out there, they all are going to bear risk based on the shares they have bought. Alright, that is why we call it a limited liability. How much ever you have invested, based on that your liability will be limited to that particular amount. Control. Sole proprietorship, the sole proprietor controls. Joint Hindu family business, karta controls. Partnership, equal control, or sometimes active partner alone controls. Here, control is given in hands of one elected member. Okay, they have voting rights. So, one elected member will be given the right to take decisions about the society. Okay, it is like a democracy. How we choose one leader and we say that we give the rights and duties to that particular leader to decide about a country. Same way, the members of the cooperative society decide and elect one member or one head who will be managing the remaining people, who will be managing the society, because it's based entirely on the welfare of the members. So their objective is going to be very simple, that is to maintain the welfare of the members. So whoever they think better, whoever they think will take care of the welfare of the members, they will be electing and they will make that person as the controllable authority. They will make that person as the authoritative person here. Here they have a right to vote. Okay, just like in Indian democracy, they also have a right to vote. And the next thing is service motive. Because we saw that already that their main objective is the welfare of the members and of course to improve, to promote the economic interest of its members. That is what we have seen as its objective. Service motive means here they will be taking care of the welfare of the members. They will not be focusing on profit or anything. Okay, their main objective is to serve the society and most predominantly their members. If it has attained something more, then what happens? They will divide it and give it among its members, which is called as a dividend. Okay? What is the remuneration on a return they get? It's called as dividend here. Other places we call it a profit or a salary or a remuneration. Here we call it dividend. That is based on the percentage of share you have in a company, they will also give you the dividend. Based on the shares that you have bought, they will be giving you the extra, the surplus money that they have attained through their objective will be given to you as dividend. Now our best example for a cooperative society is dairy farms. If you take dairy farms, we have Amul, Arogya and many other companies. Amul started as one certain company. There is a small paragraph given in your book about Amul, how it started and how it became like that. Now if you see in advertisement also, you will be able, they'll mention that we have obtained the milk, we bought the milk from farmers. Okay, something that promotes the welfare. They all join together, these farmers or this what do we say, cow rearers, shepherds, from them they all become together towards as a society, milk society. We would have heard milk societies, we would have heard that term. So dairy societies, they all come together and they, you know, give their milk to one particular big dealer and they will organize the other things, dairy products and everything. Amul started like that. Now Arogya is also going like that. So mostly if you see, cooperative societies will be like dairy farms, farmers, weavers. Weavers, they will have a society. They will help each other. Okay? They will help each other. That is the main aim of having a society. Cooperative society. Understood? So these are the features of cooperative society. What are they? Voluntary membership. You can enter or exit at any point of time. There is no compulsion. When you want to leave the company, leave the society, you just have to give a notice. Then legal status, because of the legal status, the entry and exit of the members is not going to affect. And more importantly, file cases, that is possible. Limited liability, the members are going to have a limited liability. How much of a shares they have bought, based on that their liability will be limited. Okay? So many people will be interested to buy. The biggest thing that fears us is the liability. What will happen to my personal assets if something happens to the organization? So once that problem is removed, then people will be interested to invest more in cooperative societies. And it is entirely of service motive also. So it's good. Control is given to one elected member. They have a right to vote. All members have a right to vote. And it is entirely about the service motive. So what do they get for bearing their risk? If some surplus money they get, apart from managing the expenses, they'll give it as dividends to each member. They'll divide it equally according to the percentage that you have got shares, and based on that they'll be giving you the dividends. Okay, these are the cooperative societies, meaning and features of cooperative societies. What are we going to discuss next? We are going to discuss the merits and demerits of cooperative societies. We have seen every form of business organization will have both. Will have merits as well as demerits. And why are we analyzing this? Because we need to know which will serve best for us. Only if we know the merits and demerits of each form of business organization, we will be able to come to a conclusion as of which will be better for us. That is the reason we are discussing both merits and demerits of each form of business organization. And what I have told you, you have to relate it with the other forms of business organization. When we study about features of cooperative society, we have to deal it or connect it with the features of the other three forms of business organization. Similarly, when we discuss the merits of cooperative society, I want you to relate it with the merits of sole proprietorship, partnership and joint into family business. Clear? So that it is easy for you for comparison. Okay? What is the first merit that we are going to discuss here? Equality in voting rights. We saw that it is kind of democratic and everybody has a right to vote. Now if I have bought highest amount of shares only, am I allowed to vote? No, even if I have got a very minimal amount of shares also, I have the right to vote. So there is no dependency on what is my investment, how much I have investment. Is my investment big or small? What is the amount that I have given? Nothing matters. Everybody has equal voting rights. Every member of that particular society has the voting right. This is really a merit because everybody feels a part of the society. Right? That is why we say that it is kind of democratic and this is supposed to be a good merit. Next, we have seen this in features and of course it is a merit limited liability. We have not seen this as a merit anywhere, right? We have seen in joint into family limited liability of 4 persons, but here every member has a limited liability. We have discussed this already, that whatever capital invested, to that extent only they are going to face the risk and they are going to have the liability. So they all are going to enjoy only limited liability. So many people will be interested to come forward and deposit or invest more money in this. Okay. Next, stable existence. In every form we have discussed about the continuity of business. Do you remember? Sole proprietorship ends with the owner. When he dies or becomes insolvent, gone, closed. When you have discussed about joint into family, yes, there is a continuity till when what? The eldest member, if the eldest member, the Karta dies, the next member becomes Karta. But what happens? The ancestral property should be there to be shared. If the ancestral property is not there, then of course the continuity is questionable. Partnership, when one partner dies or something happens to him, the deed, the partnership agreement comes to an end, and if other partners want to start, they may start with a new agreement or they might close. But when in the case of cooperative societies, it has a stable existence. Why? Because it has a legal identity. Since it has a separate legal identity due to registration, the entry and exit of any member is not going to affect its existence. Nobody is going to disturb its existence because it is separate. It works as a different society. It remains unaffected by the change in membership. Whoever comes and goes, the existence is going to be there. For example, we saw that the control lies with the elected member. Now there is something has happened to the elected member. He or she has quit the society. So what happens? Again, one more election will be conducted and one more person will be elected. So it's not going to disturb the existence of the particular society. Even the death of a member will not affect the existence of the society. So the existence is really more stable. Nothing can change it. And next one is economy in operation. Its main aim is to promote the economic interest, okay, and to take care of the welfare of the people, service motive, everything. So when you go towards service motive, of course you will be economic. You will be thinking about reducing cost or even cutting down cost which is not required. For example, in a partnership business, you have to, advertise, you have to have modern technologies, you have to have a good infrastructure for a building. But when you take a cooperative society, it works mainly for the welfare of the members. So it will not be thinking about promoting its society, promoting its ideas, or it will not be thinking about getting an infrastructure, proper infrastructure building. It will not worry about the technological updation, anything. So the cost is highly reduced. The operations are very economic, and when the societies, when you have a cooperative society, it is just that the consumers operate for themselves or producers operate for themselves. It reduces the use of middlemen. Only when you have middlemen, you have to invest more and more and more. When you don't have that, of course you are there, the cost has come down. Clear? So economy in operations, it does not have any difficulty, or it will not involve high cost or unnecessary investments anywhere in the organization. That is why cooperative societies are said to be economical in operations. Next. Support from government. So we have said that it is governed by the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912, and hence what happens? It binds with the government's policies and government's rules and regulations. So when it binds with government rules and regulations, it will obviously get support and benefits from government also. When some other benefits are announced for cooperative societies, it is good for them. Right? Government comes forward to help. Like what? Low interest rates. When you get loans for your cooperative society, they give it at low interest rates. Subsidies they give, they help you financially. Some taxes are exempted, that is not at all charged from the cooperative societies. Some are reduced tax rates compared to other private organizations. If you take a cooperative society, the tax that they pay will be less. Alright? What will be the last one? Ease of formation. What do we mean by ease of formation? It is very easy to form. How? Only 10 adult members are needed and there is no restrictions there. Any religion, any caste, any gender-based people, anybody can come. They have to just abide with the rules of the cooperatives. The Cooperative Societies Act 1912, whatever rules or registration procedure is given in that only one act can be followed, that's enough. So the formation is very less, very easy. Just they have to divide the shares, buy the shares, invest that as a capital and immediately start their society. Okay, these are the merits of cooperative societies. We will recall them once we have discussed about the demerits of it. What would be the demerits? First thing is limited resources. Again this point comes here. Limited resources. Why or how? Because the shares are going to be very less in amount. Okay, so and we have only that if it is a consumer cooperative society, only consumers will be part of it, and it is a voluntary association. You are not going to compel anybody, you are not going to invite anybody. It's just that whoever wishes to join, they might join. So within that amount only you are going to run your society. So of course the resources will be very less. And what else more? The dividend which is given, it's very less. On the low rate of interest given for your capital invested will not attract many people. They can invest in partnership form of business as a sleeping partner and they can get good interest rates. But here in cooperative societies, the interest rate is comparatively less and hence they will not be coming forward to invest more in cooperative societies. And so what happens? Limited resources. Next, this is one more thing that we see again and again in all forms of business organization. Inefficiency in management. Why? Because when we say producers cooperative society, only the producers will be there. And do you think that everybody will have managerial skill? Might not be. And they will not be ready to have managers, highly efficient managers for their society. Why? Because they cannot pay high salaries. And this is seen as a welfare for the people. They want to reduce cost. So they will not go for any high costly methods. And hence the management will also be not that much effective or efficient. Clear? Only if you invest or when you pay more salary, you will get a good employee. There will be very few people who will voluntarily come in this voluntary organization, voluntary association. There may be some senior members who will be giving ideas, who will be giving their decisions, who will be giving their suggestions. But they are, they are seniors, they are giving it voluntarily. You can't expect that every time they will be available for your society. They might have their own work. For example, if a dairy farmer, if a milk producer, he is a member and he has high intellectual capacity. But he or she has his own work to do also. Might not be available like a paid employee. If he is a paid employee, anytime you call, their only work is to take care of the society or the organization. Here you don't have any paid employees because the society, the cooperative society looks into reducing the cost, economy in operation. So what happens? You cannot pay any high salaries and of course that will be an inefficient management. Clear? Next is lack of secrecy. Why do we say lack of secrecy? We are registered. Once you are registered, you have to go according to the Societies Act. Whatever they say, you have to present it. If they ask you to present your accounts, you have to present it. So there is no secrecy in what you are doing. About your accounts, about your operations, anything is not secret. Right? Because you are registered. Once you are registered, you are answerable to people. Okay, that's why we say that lack of secrecy. That you have to face some obligations of government and the Societies Act. According to that, you have to present accounts in a certain way. Okay, and next, government control. We saw the support of government as a merit. Now we see government control as a demerit. Can you connect between the both? Yes, when the government is ready to support you, of course they will expect you to stay under their control. Once they expect you to stay under their control, they will interfere in your operations, in your decisions. So you will not be able to do what you expect. Even if you want to work towards the welfare of the members, the government authorities might not allow you to do that. The government rules may not be allowing you to do that. The dividend share, everything goes to the government's control. Even though we have an elected member, still when government interference is there, even that person cannot do anything all alone. That is why as support of government becomes a merit, government control becomes a demerit for us. Clear? Next we come to the another one. Difference of opinion. Why difference of opinion? In a partnership organization where the maximum amount itself is 50 members only, there even we have the possibility of conflicts. Here we don't know what is the maximum number, how many member wants they can come, and they are not related in any way like joint Hindu family. There at least joint Hindu family, Karta says the other members co-partners listen because the eldest member of the family. What happens here? All of them are different, and the control is given to only one elected person. That election itself there will be a problem. They will have difference of opinion about whom to place in the election even. Right, so there may be a lot of conflicts and lot of viewpoints. Everybody will have a difference of opinion. Okay, that is why it is going to be a very big disadvantage. Because the main objective is to give welfare for the people, welfare of the members. If one or the other member is not going to follow that, you cannot tell that member to go out also, because it is voluntary membership. Nobody is going to tell you to go. Okay, it is that the members will and wish to continue or discontinue. This is going to serve as a very big disadvantage. Okay, so what are the merits of cooperative societies? It has equality in voting rights. Anybody, whatever amount you have invested as capital, you get the voting rights. One man, one vote. Limited liability. The members have limited liabilities. For whichever amount you have the shares, that much amount of liability you have. Then stable existence, the entry and exit of any member, the death of any member will not affect the existence or the continuity of the society. Economy and operations, they will be focusing about welfare of the people, so reducing costs, everything will be there. Support from government, since it is a registered one under the Indian Cooperatives Act 1912. I am repeating this act again and again and again just because it should stay in your mind. All the acts related to every form of business organization should be fixed in your mind. Okay? And then ease of formation, you just need 10 adult members. Just go and form your society based on the Indian Cooperatives Act. Cooperative Societies Act, the Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912. Right? What are the demerits? Limited resources. Because dividend paid is very less, so people may not be interested in investing there, and it will be on small amount of the shares will be given for even small amounts. Inefficiency in management, they are not able or ready to pay high salaries, so management may not be efficient. Lack of secrecy, since you are a registered society, you have to present your accounts and other details whenever they ask for it. Government control, the intervention of government will be there, interference will be there. Then difference of opinion. When so many members are there, of course there is going to be a difference of opinion. You can never say that everybody will have the same set of mind or same point of view. Everybody will have a different point of view, and that will lead to difference of opinion. This is going to create a conflict. Alright, but still what happens? It does not affect the existence of the organization. So far we have discussed about what is a cooperative society, meaning and definition, features of it, merits and demerits of it. And one more topic that is left out in cooperative society is its types. There are different types of cooperative societies, which is what we are going to discuss now. Okay. So this is somewhat different, right? Compared with the other three forms of business organization that we have discussed, cooperative society is entirely different. How? Because other three focuses on profit, survival and all those things. It is mostly about social objectives, service motive, welfare of the members and all those things. Okay? So what are the types of cooperative societies? Okay, how many types are there? There are 6 types of cooperative societies. We are going to discuss one by one in detail. First one is called as Consumers Cooperative Society. What is the first one called as? Consumers Cooperative Society. Oh, consumer. What is the difference between consumer and customer? I think we have discussed it already. Customer is a person who buys the product, whereas consumer is a person who intakes it. So I have ordered spectacles, I am going, paying the money, signing and getting the spectacles. So I am the customer, I am buying it. But who is going to use it? My mom. So she is the consumer. Okay, who utilizes the product is called as consumer, whereas who goes and buys the product is called as customer. Now here we are talking about the consumer. Don't confuse, not customer. This is about consumer. Now what do we have here? It is mainly for the interest, protecting the interest of consumers. Its focus is on consumers. Okay, consumers become the members. Who are the members here? The consumers of any particular product becomes the members here. And what do? They avoid, they eliminate the point of middlemen. Okay, because middlemen means what they will do? If a product comes out for 20 rupees, the production cost is 20 rupees. What happens? The middleman will keep 5 more rupees as a profit and sell it for 25 rupees. So who faces the loss? Consumer and as well as the producer faces the loss. Right. So to avoid the middleman only, we have a society called Consumers Cooperative Society, and its members are who? The consumers of the product. And for what? To eliminate middlemen, they have formed this society. What do they have? What is their aim? To eliminate the middleman system. Why? Because it reduces the cost of the products. Okay, when you procure something directly from the producer, the cost of it is lesser than when you procure it from the middleman. For example, when you buy vegetables from the farmer, it will be 10 rupees per kg. Means when you go to the market, it will be 12 rupees per kg. When the greengrocer brings to your home and gives it, it will be 14 rupees per kg. So it differs. Everywhere it differs. So each middleman as and when one middleman adds, the rate of the product also increases. That is why we have formed this Consumers Cooperative Society, where only the consumers are the members, and their aim is to protect the welfare of the consumers. Their main aim is to what? Eliminate middlemen. Okay? To achieve what? To achieve the economy in operations. So who have made the capital contributions? The capital contributions are mainly done by the consumers. They are the members of the society. So they have contributed towards the capital. How? By buying shares. Okay, it is again a voluntary association. All these kinds will be voluntary association. By issuing shares only, they will be raising the capital. Right? So apart from that, if there are any profits, it will be given as dividend. That is also common. What are the common points here? Voluntary association is common for all the 6 cooperative societies, I say. Voluntary association is common. And for what? For economy and operations they work. And excess amount or profits or surplus will be divided as dividends. So if they have 2 kgs of sweet also, what? They will divide it and give it for everybody as dividend. Clear? Next one is called as producers. The examples are Super Bazaar, Apna Bazaar, okay, or societies like that. Next is producers cooperative society. This already we have discussed. Farmers, dairy products, whoever produces dairy products, weavers, because they only suffer a lot. Because when we discussed the previous example, the farmer, he sells it for 10 rupees, but we buy it for 14 rupees, and 4 rupees is a loss for us as well as for him. He can sell for 12 rupees at least, right? So, ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் 14 ருபீஸ்க்கு சேல் இருக்குது, 12 ருபீஸ்க்கு சேல் இருக்குன்னா ஒரு கன்சியூமரை நான் எதை வாங்குவேன்? 12 ருபீஸ் இருக்கிறது தான் நான் வாங்குவேன். அப்போ அந்த ப்ரொடியூசருக்கு அது வந்து ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும். That is why this society, this cooperative society is formed by the producers, small producers, okay, and especially for the interest of small producers, and it is for procuring inputs and producing the goods. And எங்கேருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா raw materials buy பண்ணுறதுலேருந்து their society will be helping. They will be taking care of the welfare of the producers, especially small producers, bargaining இதெல்லாம் வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவாங்க. Okay, about for what? Bargaining. Okay, this is what is about it. And profits again will be divided and given as dividend. Here products also will be divided. Okay, consumers cooperative society is formed by consumers, voluntary association, welfare of consumers to what middle. Here producers cooperative society, voluntary association formed by producers to promote economical interest of the producers, and of course the excess product, the surplus product is taken as dividend. Okay, and what happens next? The producers, the welfare of the small scale producers will be taken care of here. Examples like Amul, milk products, dairy products, weavers, they all will be in. Okay, raw materials, equipment also will be supplied. If some small producer they cannot hire machinery, then this society will help them. This society will commonly have a vehicle, for example an auto for transport. So when the small scale producer asks the help of the society, they will give the auto at a less rate, and the small producer will be benefited from that. The next one is marketing cooperative societies. Marketing cooperative society. What is marketing cooperative society? It is formed to help the small producers in selling. Earlier we saw producers were for procuring the materials, raw materials. Here marketing for selling, the small producers. It helps the small producers to perform marketing functions like transportation, warehousing in case of selling. There we discuss in producers, we discussed about buying raw materials. Here we are discussing about selling the finished goods. Okay, this is also formed by whom? The small producers, who will help each other and they will take care about the welfare of the members. This is also a voluntary association, and they will fix reasonable prices for their outputs. How in producers? In producers cooperative society, they will maintain about bargaining, buying raw materials at a low cost or at a reasonable rate. Here what they will do? They will sell their products at a reasonable rate. They will get help from the society on transportation, warehousing. Warehousing, they may not be able to, have a separate warehouse. So the cooperative society will have a warehouse which is common for the use of all the members. All the members can use that common warehouse, which will be beneficial for them. Okay. Next one. Farmers cooperative society. So this is especially for farmers. Nobody else, the agriculturalist only will be here. Here it's all about buying seeds, pesticides, insecticides to analyze the land. Anything and everything related to farming will be done with the help of Farmers Cooperative Society, because there are various processes in farming. Irrigation, getting loans, all these things. They will help for the farmers. Then selling your output at a reasonable price, transporting it, solving the problems related with the government. Sometimes, government will fix low rates. At this time, the Farmers Cooperative Society intervenes and they take care that the reasonable prices is set up for the particular products. Okay, they help in cultivation, lend tractors and all related equipment. Clear? Next we have credit cooperative societies. Okay, they help in giving loans. How commercial banks help for business organizations to avail loans, same way this credit cooperative societies help in arranging loans, and sometimes they even give loans with easy repayable option. The interest rate will be less, installment will be calculated at a less rate, less in advantageous rates. Okay, so like state electrical board employee cooperative society is an example. Okay, they arrange the credit for EB employees. For one particular department they give. Like that, for every department they will have. For bus, for transportation they have, right? Cooperative societies. Like that, they all will work. Like unions only, they will also have societies together to work for. Understood? So here we have credit cooperative societies. They provide loans to their members and amounts that they have collected as capital. From where they will give. Each member should pay some amount, right, to buy shares. From that amount they will be giving the loans, and the important thing is the interest rates will be less. From banks, if you get the interest will be more. You have to repay it in time. If you don't repay, then the consequences will be very bad. But here these are for the welfare of the members. So of course it will be less procedures and less interest rates. Clear? The last one is cooperative housing societies. Cooperative housing society. As the name says, talks about the house. Okay, they need housing, right? So you have seen government quarters and all where they build like these societies also. They procure residential area at low cost, and they build a home at low cost, and they sell it also at a low rate. Okay, they arrange, or their main focus is on the housing facilities of the members. Clear? So what is it? It is about constructing houses at a reasonable cost and procuring residential accommodation from government, or they will look into like places which is good, which is coming at a low rate. All this they will concentrate, they will buy it, and they will construct flats, or sometimes they will be providing plots, areas, separate square feet areas for the members where they can construct it themselves. So that particular society people will be living there. We say teachers colony, people of all teachers live there. Many teachers live there, that's why it's called teachers colony. EB colony, where electricity board is there, or people of that electricity board is there. Railway colony, they have societies. Cooperative housing societies for railways is there. Okay. Okay, because senior members or the higher position members will be getting government quarters. Some other lower level employees, they need some homes, right? They need housing facilities. For that, they will have cooperative societies where housing also will be possible. Alright, what are the various types of cooperative societies? Consumers cooperative society, it is all about consumers. Consumers will be the members. It is for reducing the cost, especially eliminating the middlemen. Okay? Producers cooperative society, small scale producers, to help the small scale producers in procuring raw materials at a reasonable cost and helping them in bargaining, finding the better quality of raw materials, and all those will be done here. Producers cooperative society. For example, producer, cotton, textile producer needs cotton. So he or she does not have to go and search where cotton will be available, which cotton will be of quality, good quality. They'll just go to the cooperative society and they'll ask, where can I buy? This is my budget. Where can I buy? They'll help it out. Then marketing cooperative society, after you produce the product, again the same small producers, but after you produce the products, you have to sell it, or you have to transport it, you have to store it. All this will come in marketing cooperative society. Suitable markets where how to transport them at a proper reasonable cost, they can sell their products. Farmers cooperative society, it is all about farming and its various levels, irrigation, seeds, taking care of the land, water facilities, and finally getting good amount or good cost for whatever product you have produced. Talking to the government and fixing good prices and all those stuff. Credit cooperative society, they focus mainly on providing loans. How do they give you loans? By the capital they have collected or raised by issuing shares. From that capital, they will give you loans. The procedure will be easy and the interest rates also will be easy. Less. And then cooperative housing society, they focus on providing housing facilities to their members. They'll procure lands or they'll construct buildings at low cost. Okay, they'll construct flats for their members, or else they will at least give plot of lands. It's based on different societies and the different needs of the members they will be provided. These are the various types of cooperative society. So what are the topics that we have discussed today, children? We have discussed entirely about cooperative societies. What is meant by cooperative society and the act that governs cooperative society, and we have discussed the features, merits, limitations. Finally, we have discussed about the types of cooperative societies. With this cooperative societies topic is over, I want you to thoroughly go through the text, understand the topic, watch the video again and again, and based on that answer your worksheet. Okay, make sure you have understood everything. Try to find examples for each type of cooperative society. It is not difficult for you. You can find examples for each cooperative society. Okay, so in the next class we will be seeing the last form of business organization, which is joint stock company. Alright children, till that I want you to go through this topic about cooperative society. So far we have completed 4 forms of business organization: sole proprietorship, joint Hindu family business, partnership, and today we have discussed about the cooperative societies. Okay children, I want you to make sure you remember all the acts, rules that is given, that is mentioned for each and every form of business organization. Right children, and compare and contrast between the features of each form of organization, merits and demerits. When you study the merits of one form of organization, you should relate it with the other form of business organization. How it is a merit here and how it is a demerit. If demerit means how can it be overcome, from that perspective, read it. Okay children, thank you and may all have a wonderful day.